Thorner Methodist Church has a very special place in my life and my heart. I was a minister there for 10 years, from 1997 till 2007. My memory would be of faith, fun and friendship. When I think of Thorner Methodist Church and its people particularly, because the church is the people, I think of their faith, a small chapel, not a lot of members. Sometimes Sunday morning worship wouldn't have vast numbers of people. But at certain times we would rise to the challenge, harvest services, Christingles, carol services, and special times in the church's calendar, people would come together and support it. So I think of their faith and their faithfulness in continuing to offer a place of worship week by week in that place. Secondly, I think of the fun that we had, and I could regale you with a number of stories about the funny stories and of individual conversations of the time the milkman came to collect the milk money from one of our church members during the middle of a church council. And while he was there, 3 or 4 other people decided to pay their milk bill as well. So I think we suspended the church council for a few minutes while everybody paid up. Things like that just made me really enjoy my time at Thorner. And the time that one of our church members, I shall spare her blushes by not saying who it was, when we were thinking of who we could get to come and lead, I think it was a harvest service. And we thought of all the retired ministers or other ministers, visiting preachers, local preachers, perhaps people who had experience in farming, agriculture. And one of our church members turned to me and said, well, if we can't get anybody good to do the service, Tim, will you do it? And that was one of the fun things that happened, and will certainly appear in my memoirs in years to come. Faith, the faithfulness of people, the fun that we had together as Christian brothers and sisters, and finally the friendship. Many of our activities, particularly in the Methodist Church, are often around food, and that little hall social room was often filled with people, tea, coffee, cake and more cake, bacon balms on a Saturday morning for raising money, not for the chapel, but raising money for charity. And I think of the lasting friendships that I've made there with many of our friends who are still with us. Our children were born when we were in Leeds, and I think of that night when 3 of the women from Thorner Chapel came one dark December evening after our first son was born, and brought a hamper of gifts and goods, not just for the child, but also for me and Alison. So I think of Thorner, and I think of faith, I think of fun, and I think of friendship. All those things for which I give thanks for our friends from Thorner Chapel.
I was privileged to have pastoral care at Thorner from September 07 to July 012. My first visit there would have been with Susan Howell back in January 07. Thorner Methodist, as I discovered, was the oldest Methodist society in Yorkshire, going back to the time of John Pawson. When I arrived, the chapel had 16 members, many of whom had links to the chapel since infancy, such as Mabel Oram, who counted the collection faithfully from time immemorial in the chapel vestry. I recall arranging and rededicating the cradle roll, as the older copy had birth dates marked on it, and that allowed me to do a little homework into the past history of the chapel. And at the time, Regina gave me a copy of Terence Brown's History of a Yorkshire Village, a copy of which I still have. During my time, I recall taking Susan Bradford's mother, Dorothy Hindle's funeral. I always got one of Dorothy's home bakes, which she advised me to cut into slices and put in the freezer, and it'll be well kept. Another funeral I remember taking was that of Elsie Hazel's. I recall holding her hand along with Anne Johnson as Elsie slipped away peacefully in the Aberford nursing home. Anne, Jeanette and myself ran a kids club for primary school children on Fridays during term time for around 2 years, and over 20 children came, including Andy's 2 boys. And on the back of that, I understand, I was invited to the vicarage for a Christmas dinner, and I was there for the ceremony of Andy eating his one and only Brussels sprout for the year. The primary head teacher, Anne Wrigglesworth, always welcomed me into the primary school, and she's maintained contact with me to this day. I count her as one of my dearest friends. After the monthly school assembly, I would either pop into Paul Putler or Helen March's home for a cuppa and also a good blether, which I always enjoyed, and Paul memorably took me hill walking in the Dales. I remember in this social centre having Victorian high teas and everybody dressing up appropriately. We had other special occasions. My friend Michael Harkis came all the way from Orkney to do a concert at St Peter's, and we also had the Queen's Jubilee Songs of Praise just before I left. Then there was the Churches Together in Thorner Forum, which met once a quarter in the social centre with reps from both the chapel and from St Peter's, and at the time it was Reverend Jeff. And it was from that forum came the idea to have a prayer tent at the Leeds Festival in Branham Park. Thanks to Katie Dickinson's association with the owner of the park, we were able to get started in the summer of 2010, and I still have a picture of Anne Johnson and I standing in our wellies in the mud in front of the prayer tent from that year. We reckon we got around 1,000 visitors to the tent, as we served hot water for pot noodles for free, which made us very popular. And I recall even one teenage boy who played junior rugby at Leeds Rhinos praying a prayer of salvation with me in the prayer tent, which I remember being very encouraging. I could say much more from my time in Thorn, but all in all I only have fragrant memories of the members of the chapel and indeed of the wider community. It was my archetypical rural Yorkshire experience, and that will always remain with me.
Hello everybody, my name is George Bailey and I'm a Methodist minister in the Leeds North and East Methodist Circuit, the same circuit as Thorner Methodist Church, and I was the minister working with Thorner Methodist Church for 2 years from 2012 to 2014. It's a real joy for me to be with you today and to consider this question of how was God at work, how has God been at work in the life of Thorner Methodist Church. I was confident then in those 2 years, and I think even more so as I look back, that God was there, God was in the life of the church, and in each of the people of the church as individuals. You all, people I know, friends I know now, and friends I knew then, people of deep and genuine faith, and truly a close fellowship. People who are ready to ask questions. I remember you asking me some difficult questions in my time with you. It was a place where you could be sure of some robust conversation about the faith and the theology in a service and in a sermon. But that wasn't all just one way. I think your church has been characterized by also being ready to listen to each other's ideas of what God was doing with you and in you and around you. I think that Thorner Methodist Church has really been a running conversation about God's work. It was at my time a little community of people, all called to be in that church over the years, some a long time, some not so long, with different backgrounds and for different reasons, but all together finding and creating a spiritual home. I was impressed by the way you were supportive of each other, respectful of each other's differences, and worked together as a team. So fellowship, I think, is my first theme. I've got 3 others. Hospitality. That building itself has been beautifully cared for as a place of worship, which made people feel welcome the moment they stepped in. I have enjoyed some great times of fellowship over coffee and biscuits, over special meals and amazing coffee mornings with great bacon butties. And I've got many happy memories of squeezing up with people in the meeting room for some lively conversation and fun. And that hospitality and that reputation for hospitality went beyond Thorner to the whole of the Methodist circuit and wider. Thorner Methodist Church was a special place, a community which people could come away to for a meeting or a gathering, away from some of their stresses, and know that they would be able to listen for God working with them. The building, the garden, have been a special place for many people over the years. Next theme is worship. I remember Thorner Methodist Church in my time as minister there as a place where there was an excellent quality of worship. I used to say to people in some of the larger congregations that the singing at Thorner Methodist was great, and I used to enjoy that, perhaps more so than in some of the bigger church congregations. That worship space worked really just right for the gathering of people in praise. And I have special memories, particularly of communion services, and that as people gathered at the rail together at Thorner Methodist Church, it was an intimate and a powerful experience as people knelt at the rail together. So fellowship, hospitality, worship, and finally, networks. Networks. You have played a really important role in the life of this village. Through the life of the church, connecting with lots of other networks. Now, some of you may know that I am not at all used to village life, and you did a good job of introducing me to it. I remember village events, singing carols on the green and enjoying the summer fair with everybody else as churches together in Thorner. And I enjoyed working with Thorner School for assemblies. Through the church community, there were these numerous connections across, throughout, and deep within the village. I'll be honest, I didn't understand them all and probably still don't. Most importantly, of course, all that networking was underpinned by the amazing friendship with St. Peter's. And it's a real joy for me to be part of this service and to be able to pray for the life of God's work in Thorner as it carries on through St. Peter's. And this friendship between Thorner Methodist and St. Peter's now blossoms. Amen.
Hello and greetings to all of you who have turned up on this august, joyful, but also somber occasion. My name is Daniel Mwailu, and for the last 5 years, I had the privilege of being the minister at the historic Methodist Church in Thorner. I say historic because John Paulson, who lived between 1737 and 1806, was one of the early founders of Methodism in the Thorner village. He was ordained by John Wesley himself in 1785. Indeed, how historic and privileged could it be than that? Reverend John Paulson also went on to make history by becoming the first person to hold the chair of the President of the Methodist Conference on 2 occasions, 1793 and 1801, which is also very rare. I've only known it to happen on 2 in more recent times with Donald English. John also made history by attending Methodist Conference for 40 years consecutively, and he is described in history as a man of deep, simple piety. And I would say that seems to have been emulated from my experience of the last 5 years by the people I've known as Thorner Methodists. I want to thank you all for joining us to celebrate the end of 266 years of Methodist worship and witness in Thorner since 1754. It has been my privilege to join and journey with the people at Thorner Methodist Chapel as their minister since 2015. During those memorable 5 years, I found true Christian love in action, not only from the 15 members that I have had pastoral oversight, but also from the parish church. This Christian love in action was exhibited in 2 ways. First, when I visited to view the station, the members gave me and my wife a bouquet of daffodils, even before the appointment was confirmed. And that is a very rare occasion indeed. It had never happened to us before. You normally visit the station and go and wait for 3 days before you can hear. Here we are being given flowers. As a result, I nicknamed the members of the chapel my daffodils. It was love at first sight, and this love developed and intensified such that when I was taken ill and needed prolonged absence, such a small church became my source of spiritual and social support. During the last 5 years, their love in action decorated the months with birthday, Easter, Christmas, but more recently with get well cards. I pay tribute to them and say thank you, my daffodils, for your love in action. I will treasure it all my life and will greatly miss you. Secondly, love in action. I found true Christian love in action from the parish church and from Reverend Andy Nicholson, who welcomed me and gave me a free hand to take communion at the parish church, which is very rare in Anglican churches, at least the ones that I've been involved with in the past. Thank you, Andy. In a short time that I was active, I bonded with Andy, and as our friendship and trust developed, we shared ecumenical services and joint events happily. I would say in Andy, I found a true ecumenical brother. Again, I say thank you, Andy. If the Methodist and the Anglican Church could emulate Christian love and trust that I have experienced in Thona village, the signed Anglican Methodist covenant would become a reality and not simply a document signed by the Methodist president and the Archbishop. The people called Methodists in Thona, in my 5 years experience, have been a people of faith who have shared that faith and their love of God with others to keep the flame of Methodism burning. So few in number, but gave generously and supported local, national, and international charities. Their coffee mornings became a brand mark in the village and was well supported. In the Leeds Festival, there is a regular stand for Christian witness. It all started from Thona Methodist Church in the wee person of Katie Dickinson. Its spirit and motto, I understand, is being emulated elsewhere. In the last 5 years, ecumenical relationships with St. Peter's Parish Church strengthened, such that the Methodist Church, when they came to consider their 5-year plan, the Church Council voted and accepted to merge with the Parish Church and continue their witness there rather than simply close and disperse. We thank God for his faithfulness in the past and look forward to continue our witness jointly with the Parish Church, who kindly have given us the big welcome we are marking and celebrating today. Thanks to God for love and friendship that we have received from Reverend Andy Nicholson and the Parish Church, with whom we have enjoyed great fellowship and friendship. We have celebrated Good Friday together, observed the week of the octave of prayer for Christian unity together. We also have shared the main Christian festivals together: Easter, Advent, and Christmas services. The church together in Thona have been both in word and deed, and we thank both congregations for such a vision, warmth, and acceptance of each other. It is because of such a Christian love in action that our church council voted to continue our Christian witness jointly with the Anglicans in the parish church. The particularly Methodist trait in terms of pastoral visitation, joyful singing, and the covenant service will be absorbed in the one Christian congregation in the village, Christians in Thona. We look forward to continued worship and witness in the village. The unity that I have observed in the last 5 years is a response to Jesus' prayer when Jesus said, "Holy Father, keep them safe by the power of your name, the name that you gave me, so that their unity may be like ours." That was John 17, verse 11. He continued, "I pray that all of these people continue to have unity in the way that you, Father, are in me and I am in you. I pray that they may be united with us so that the world will believe that you have sent me." That was in verse 21. It has become like a cliche, but quite true, that unity is strength. It is also true that united we stand and divided we fall. It is high time we learned that the days of the big denominationalism are over, and what matters to the Christian communities we serve is active Christian presence, giving witness, love, and care to the community in practical ways, as we have been demonstrated in Well Done and the other Christian outreach, and especially as COVID-19 has also demonstrated. As Jesus prayed, it is my prayer that Thona Village and Parish, for that matter, will go forward united in Christian love in action. In my opening sentence, I mentioned the word somber. It is indeed a joyous occasion today as we celebrate the big welcome by the Anglican to the Methodist people in Thona. But it is rather somber for some who have always known presence of a Methodist chapel in the village. I am thinking in particular of two wonderful gems who both share 150 years jointly of knowing Methodist presence in Thona. Katie Dickinson, 80 years, and Mabel Oram for over 70 years. True stalwarts of Methodism who have been associated with the Thona Methodist Chapel for all these years. For them, there is a deep sense of loss, which is understandable and which we all share. For them, and perhaps others, it feels like a bereavement. For those who share such feelings, let me remind us of that Good Friday we all celebrate. It anticipates the Easter morning, when new life sprang up in the resurrection of Jesus. May we look forward to a new life of Christian inaction in Thona, made up of Christian people drawn from Anglicans, Catholics, and now Methodists. A genuine hybrid Christian witness for a new world. And for those of us who feel a deep sense of loss, may the words of the preacher in Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1 comfort us. Everything has its own time, and there is a specific time for every activity under heaven. Finally, I want to appreciate how my daffodils lived to their name in the way they decorated the manse with love in action, with flowers and get well cards. People of Thona, thank you for your love in action in the last 5 years. May it continue now in greater measure until we see the presence of the Lord. God bless you all.